What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to bring a long-term project to a very satisfying conclusion. It's a SEGA Astro City, the cabinet that has been in this arcade longer than any other full-size cab. And it's a bucket list cabinet. I just had to have it because I wanted that example of sit-down Japanese arcade gaming, and to do that, you really want a candy cab. The only problem is they're not exactly easy to find in North America, and when you do, they're not exactly cheap. So I ended up importing mine from China and just had to do a few things to get it up and running. One was change out the speakers with ones that weren't dry rotted and actually worked, and then correct a wiring issue on the incoming power to the cabinet because of the voltage differences between China and North America. And the thing has been rock solid for 3 years with only one issue, which turned out just to be a bad solder joint on the chassis for the monitor. That was really it. Haven't done any modifications of the cabinet at all because I want this thing to remain stock. Now, I did do a control panel conversion from 2-player to 1-player to show you that this thing is really modular and you can do that with reproduction parts. But as other projects have kind of taken priority over the Astro City, those have been wrapped up. Some of them have moved on to other owners. So now it is time to really do the thing that has needed to be done since I bought the cabinet, and that is change out the main wiring harness. The JAMA wiring harness in this cabinet is a little worse for wear. The biggest issue is the actual connector itself, the thing that plugs into your arcade board. That connector is cracked and there's some, bare wire showing on the power side. So that's not exactly safe. And I do want this thing to last forever. I mean, it's one of those cabinets I really don't ever plan to sell. Maybe when I retire, who knows, fingers crossed. Stay tuned to the channel the next 20 years and I might actually sell this thing. But I want it to be rock solid. I want it to be a great example of a candy cab. And to do that, you really got to replace everything and just, make it as nice and secure and safe as possible. The only problem is doing that is not exactly easy. I mean, it's not exactly easy to find a reproduction wiring harness. But luckily, I got a guy on eBay that I've gone to for a small wiring harness on the control panel side. This guy also happened to have a full wiring harness, and I was really happy. So the journey began. I took everything out of the cabinet and I removed the entire wiring harness. Now, luckily, this thing has not been hacked up or modified with the exception of a coin-in button that I added to the front of the cab. But other than that, everything was really just unplug and pull it from the cabinet and lay it out on the floor to compare it to the new wiring harness. And at first glance, everything was great. All the links were correct, so it was time to reinstall it into the cab. But I couldn't do it because the inside of the cabinet is just ugly. Now, this is kind of like the car at the car show, and you pop the hood, and the outside of the car is great, but the actual engine is crap. Well, that's how this cabinet looked. You could tell that there was some white overspray. I guess before they sold it to me, they hit it with a fresh coat of white paint. And the overspray inside the cab got all over everything, and it didn't look good. And so I knew that there was something that had to be done, and it's really just a matter of getting in there, cleaning the entire cabinet, crawling in, getting all the little 100 yen coins, getting all the little old zip ties and crap out of there, and then tape it off in certain areas, hit it with a fresh coat of black paint. And that makes all the difference in the world. So now with all that done, it's time to reinstall this wiring harness. Running everything, routing on the wires was actually pretty simple. All the connectors for the most part worked out just fine, with only one real exception. And that's the lack of a power connector for the marquee light. It's weird. It's one of those things that's like, I know that every single Astro City has a marquee light of some type, but for some reason that was omitted from this wiring harness. But there's really no big deal. I kept the old wiring harness, so I just took that portion out and added it to this wiring harness, and everything was fine. Now, it's really not, it doesn't really stand out as far as something that's obviously old because it's just one single connector and it's kind of tucked off to one side. It's not part of that main JAMA harness, which is really the part that I was concerned about. Routing that beautiful bundle of new wires and then that big blue connector for my JAMA to JAMA connect to the actual boards was the main thing that I was worried about, because when you open the cabinet, that's what you see. And looking at it now, it looks great. It looks absolutely phenomenal. This is foundational. It's something that had to be done. And I'm glad I finally took the time to get it done. But I'm not done yet. So with everything under the hood of the Astro City looking top notch, everything's painted with that brand new wiring harness, I didn't just want to throw the game boards back in mounted on these plain black boards. Now, as generic as these actually look, this is better than what the cabinet shipped with when I bought it from China several years ago. It just came on a piece of plywood, you know, and there was no hole to kind of grab and pull the board out. So this is better than what it was, but it could be so much better. Now this is just 1/2" MDF, trimmed to fit, put a hole in it, and that does the purpose, and it served the purpose for a while. But now that we've done all this work to the Astro City, I want to do something just a little bit different. I want to take it to the next level. So I started with new boards. Instead of this big oval shape, we're going to go ahead and do 3 holes for fingers to kind of open this thing up and kind of give it a cool look. I made 3 different boards based on the 3 different arcade boards that I have. Painted them different colors too, because I didn't want to go with black. I wanted to go with a gloss color of some sort. And then I decided to go ahead and why not? We've done this. We've gone this far. Let's go ahead and print up some custom graphics that we can stick on the board, and then we can screw the board to that, and creates this cool kind of look. And it's going to serve a bunch of different purposes. Not only is it going to look better when you open up the cabinet, like a car-to-car show. When you pop the hood, you want to see the chrome and the paint and all that. So it's going to have that effect. Also, if you're not using some of these game boards, which you're not, right? You can only have 1 game board in the Astro City at a time. You can kind of hang these up on the wall and it looks good. It's like it's on display. One more thing I do have coming are some JAMA edge connector protectors. Yeah, this JAMA edge, you don't want to just have that exposed. So I've got a couple plastic 3D printed protectors coming to put on the boards that I'm not going to have in use. So you do a little bit of work, a little bit of time. You know, the wood is not that expensive. The paint's not that expensive. You get to kind of flex your artistic muscles and come up with cool kind of designs. And you're going to go from something that's plain and Jane like this, which is fine, to something that's next level like this. And now with all these details finally wrapped up, it's time to consider the Astro City done, at least as far as I'm concerned. This is a level that I wanted to bring this cab up to ever since I bought this thing years ago. From here on out, we're just going to maintain it. If something breaks, we're going to fix it, but that's it. There's nothing else left to do. There's nothing else to really modify or change because I don't want to mess with what this cabinet really is and what it represents. But the details matter, and it's definitely something you want to take the time to do because you're going to appreciate it in the very end, especially when you have something like this that people aren't really familiar with. So when they come into the arcade, you have an opportunity to kind of educate people on what this is. And if you're going to open up the hood, you're going to let them take a peek inside. It's nice to have everything nice and neat and clean to accurately represent the best that this cab ever really was. Now, because these cabinets are so short, those boards that we made could easily be displayed above and kind of show off your game boards, and that would be cool. I'm not going to do that here because I've got some other plans for above the Astro City. So for now, they're going to go live in the office, the utility room where all my stuff kind of goes, awaiting its time to shine in the arcade. And if I ever need them, I'm going to go grab them and swap them out. And maybe they'll eventually have a different place, but for now, that's going to be good enough for me. There are a few things that I have to do, really one outstanding issue, and that is the CPS2 board. When I switched it around and have the JAMA edge connector towards the back of the cabinet, it's just not quite long enough. That stock wiring harness isn't quite long enough. Now the other boards, they're fine, but that CPS2 board is kind of long. So I do have an extension cable order that I'm just going to keep with the CPS2. Anytime I run that board, I'll just have that installed so that there's no unnecessary strain on that harness. Anyway, let me know what you think about this in the comments section below. Y'all have a blessed day, and I'll see all of you next time. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go save the president's daughter again. Get it, boy!